Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem HaChachodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders here. Great millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So I watched Elder Yashawamba's lesson titled, "Does the Lord care if you put a chip inside of you? Is it a sin if you do?" And he's quoting General Yohana of the ISUPK. He said that, do you think God cares if you put a microchip inside your body? And we're responding to the men of IUIC once again, going up there trying to explain what the image and the mark of the beast is. And they're incorrect as always. They're basically saying that overall it's all spiritual. They said the image of the beast is Caesar Borgia, the image of Jesus, and then the mark of the beast is just spiritual. It just means you're sinning. And they're both they're wrong on both. And that's why it's important to understand the image, because then you understand what the beast is. It's like you understand what the mark is. And I have a live example, because I was watching, I was just like, yeah, okay, it's a good lesson. But then I was just watching, scrolling, and I watched this video, and you're going to see a live example of proof that when we teach that the image of the beast is the Roman system, which goes into its philosophies, the New World Order, this one way of thinking, herd-like mentality, surrendering your health and importance and all that to the system. They decide what's best for you. Everybody just needs to comply. Those who don't should be punished. Your children, you forfeit all your rights to the state. Your children belong to the state, so they can tell your children if they could be LGBT. They don't have the right to tell you. That whole way of thinking, all that ties into the image. Because when you go back to the Roman system, you can look at Augustus. He took power away from the people and made himself the emperor. It went from a democracy to an empire. And that's how it was. And then there, you can go further. There was two classes of people, rich and then poor. That's why the middle class here is basically done for the same thing. So many similarities. Today, you can say New World Order and everything you're seeing. And then you got the mark. Now, a live example you're going to see of proof that what we're saying is coming to pass.
What verse you in? That was verse 15. Read. Come on. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. That's what I was talking about earlier. In their right hand and in their forehead. Meaning to do sin and think sin. That's all it's talking about. He ain't talking about some microchip.
So to do sin and think sin, which the scriptures tell you all have sinned and fell short. So that means all have the mark. And again, how are you going to buy and sell with doing evil and thinking evil? Doing sin and thinking sin is going to give you the ability to buy and sell. Again, we're clearly seeing this technology, all right before our very eyes, as chips in the hand are becoming a thing. Well, you will be able to pay with. Years ago, this very camp mocked the RFID technology being linked to payments. We also see the brand.
They actually mocked they mocked the very existence of the chip. Now it's here. Now it's well, what you're saying is not the mark of the beast. Constantly changes.
An aspect where it will be geared towards healing you. All right. C-hips to treat epilepsy, arthritis, incontinence. They may be closer than you think. They help with. It gave us.
He was stupid as hell.
They're saying the micro C-hip.
Ain't talking about some microchip. Bull crap out of your head. Ain't no microchip gonna make you sin. People stupid as hell.
They're saying.
All right, so let's go to this video I was watching. It's titled Amish Community Fined $400,000 for failing to download ArriveCan app. Now this is in Canada. So I'm gonna let this play for about 2.5 minutes. Now, this is a live example of the image of the beast, right? Causing all to worship, leading up into the mark. This is proof that the doctrine that the apostles and elders of Great Millstone been teaching, and anybody else who teaches the doctrine, right? IUIC, I believe they'll admit that that beast in Revelation 13 is America, and they also mention Rome. But for some reason, they believe that the image of the so-called white man of Jesus is the image. And Nate actually said, he said they're going to try to do it again. I mean, they're going to try to go around and deceive the earth again with that. How are they going to deceive earth when it's already played out? It's done for. It's exposed. No, it's talking about the image of compliance, new world order, and punishing those who refuse to comply with the system. Here's a live example of this, of the Amish community in Canada, right? Being fined and punished severely by Canada because they are refusing to fall in line and with the demands and the tyrannical draconian demands of the leaders of Canada.
They are not belligerent people. But what's so interesting is in this one case, they know in their gut something's wrong. Close to $400,000 in fines, mainly for not using Justin Trudeau's stupid ArriveCan app. And just think about that. You know the ArriveCan app, when you would travel back to Canada from a foreign land during COVID, you had to fill out this buggy spyware, malware app that we now know was money laundering tens of millions of dollars. Anyways, how do the Amish use an app when they don't have a phone, they don't have electricity? And why should they use it at all, given their religious exemption from taking the COVID jab? None of it made sense, but don't tell that to the bureaucrats enforcing the ArriveCan app on behalf of Justin Trudeau and the bureaucrats prosecuting the ArriveCan app fines, who answered to Doug Ford himself. What's so incredible is I sat down for a meeting for about 90 minutes with the head of the community. He showed me that in the 74 families in this community, they have $400,000 in fines. And here's what's new. Here's what I have never seen before in all of our stories involving the ArriveCan app. Because these folks here are not getting emails, they're not getting phone calls, collections agents, they have nowhere to phone. So what they've done is they have attached a lien on the title deeds of these homes, a kind of legal encumbrance, without telling the folks here. That's the crazy thing. I was told about a young Amish farmer who went to the bank to get a bank loan to buy some cattle. He was told by the bank officer, "I can't do that. Did you know that there is a lien on your property for thousands of dollars for the ArriveCan?" And the Amish man said, "What?" So not only were they harassed into using this app that they couldn't use, not only were they persecuted because they have a religious exemption because of their religion, but I've never seen this before. The province of Ontario went ahead and tagged homes, not this particular home, but homes in this community, stopping families from changing the title from father to son on a farm, stopping families from using the farm to get a loan to operate their farm. I've never seen such a punitive, bureaucratic, bullying example in my life. And as you know, the Democracy Fund has fought 3,000 cases, many of them on the ArriveCan issue. It was challenging to set up today's meeting. Like I say, we just physically showed up, but we found a friend of the community who's not Amish himself, but he does some business with the Amish. He heard about the Democracy Fund. He knew that the Democracy Fund would take cases of people from any background, any religion.
So, you can watch the video, but what does that show you? What does that show you? That shows you prophecy. Understand? I'm going to come back to that. We're going to read the same scripture that, Elder Yashawama brought out. We're going to bring that out a lot. All right, Proverbs 24. This is evident. Revelation 13, verse 14. and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell in the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. That's the Roman Empire system being brought back. Okay, the country and the world being ran by a select few people, and everybody else is just cattle, and you must comply. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that goes into who? WHO or World Health Organization. Oh yeah, that goes into their philosophies, their doctrines. And as you can see in Canada, whoever runs that joint says everybody has to use this app. Everybody has to use the app, and if you don't use it, you get fined, and they enforcing those fines, right? So much so that they're even picking on the Amish community up there, which they know don't live off electricity phones, so they can't call them, but nevertheless, they still saying, you're going to use this app. You're going to do what we tell you, otherwise we're going to fine you. And here's the point. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So it doesn't matter your exemption, doesn't matter your lifestyle, doesn't matter your way of living. Small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you can see, just dealing with that example, right? This is a live example. That video was put up 5 days ago. They're putting liens on their houses, making it so they can't get loans, right? Making it to where they can't pass their families down to the father, the son. They're being isolated and boxed out from the society to punish them for what? Not complying with the beast, not complying with the image. In hopes of what? Forcing them to comply with the rules of the country or of the state, or whatever it is, right? They don't discriminate. They go for anybody. You see, now the Amish, like I said, they're for the most part, it looks like either Edomites or Japhites, could be, right? They're not under the curses, so they actually have the means to work together and come up with ways to survive and live off campus and live off the country, off the grid and all that. But nevertheless, as you can see, they're also affected too. Why? Because the powers that be say, you're going to do what I say. And they want everybody to download the app for control. So they want to monitor when you leaving and coming in the country. And those who say, man, I ain't worried about that. They're going to tag you. They're going to mark you. They're going to find you. They're going to chase you down. And if they're willing to go to that length to deal with those people, imagine the poor, our people. So it's already begun. This is a live example of what we're saying to be true. There's nobody in the presidency is talking about we need to bring back the image of Jesus Christ, Caesar Borgia. Nobody's talking about that. That's incorrect when they say that that's the image. That's incorrect. The image is the Roman system, their power structure. Multiple books, videos, easily you can compare America to Rome. Multiple. I mean, there's no end. The apostles and elders did it. They're the first ones I've seen did it. But they did several comparisons, from the Senate House to the two horns like a lamb but spake as a dragon, to the plebeians and patricians and the Democrats and Republicans. Plenty, and showing the scriptures. There's so much. There's overwhelming evidence that this is wrong. And that's what that image is. Just look at how they rule and function. And then you can see how with these policies, it won't be hard for them to bring in a chip. It won't be hard because and that's basically, you see how they're living, how they're being persecuted. That's basically going to be us. We're going to be isolated. We're just going to be going into faith. We're going to be ostracized from the society. We're going to be considered outcasts. And it's only because they, have their own community and all that, they can function. Imagine if you just a regular guy who got an apartment, in the city. How are you supposed to survive? How you going to think? And that's why we're telling you all we're going to have is our faith in that day. But a lot of you Israelites, right? Because it's just like, Elder Yashawamba explained, you guys that teach contrary to the chip, you never talk about the hypothetical situation as of what to do if it was to happen. You just say that it's not the mark of the beast. But you don't talk about what to do if it happens, what you're going to do. You don't talk about that, right? And I believe it's because you can't be on record speaking against the chip, because if it's one thing, what's those two groups have in common? The 501c3. And at this point, it's evident that those who have the 501c3 will bow the knee. And even like WFI, Watchmen for Israel, they did this 4-hour video calling themselves breaking down Revelation, the 13th chapter, basically trying to stall, okay? And then when they finally got to the mark, they didn't break it down, and they didn't explain what would they do if it was to happen. I find that funny. These people who speak contrary to the trip, they don't talk about what they would do if they was met with the situation, or what we're saying does come to pass. What would they do, or what would they instruct their congregation to do? Because at that point, it can just show that, okay, maybe you just don't believe. Because you just say, look, I don't believe the mark of the beast is a chip, but let me tell you, I ain't taking the chip if they make it mandatory. Then that would show a sign of sincerity, like, okay, he sincerely don't see it. But it's fishy that these groups that got these 501c3s are saying, or are refusing to go on record to just say, ain't nobody taking that. Ain't nobody taking that chip. We ain't taking that, but it ain't the mark. We ain't taking it. I believe it's because you can't be on record showing that you spoke against the chip. Then say goodbye to your status or your position, because you know it's going to come to pass. You guys think you're slick, man? Let's read the scripture. Proverbs 24, verse 11. If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain. If thou sayest, behold, we knew it not. Doeth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doeth he not know it? And shall he not render every man according to his works? A lot of you want, like I did a lesson not that long ago, the Lord knows your hearts when it comes to this thing, the hour of temptation. A lot of you know damn well what you're doing. I'm talking about you leaders. You know full well what you're doing, right? And you believe that when it comes down to the very nitty gritty at that last hour, you can say, well, technically, I never spoke against it. So I can now tell you not to take it, right? And you think that'll be sufficient. You don't think the Lord is going to judge you for anybody who uses your advice or takes your advice and go and take the chip. So then in the end, you could say, yeah, well, technically, I never said not to take it. And you think that's going to be justified in the eyes of the Lord. They're going off of your advice, your counsel, because you created these gray areas and these what ifs so you could try to save face. But the Lord's going to judge you for that. And also, a lot of you just plain want to be ignorant to the fact. So when it does hit you, just like they did the pandemic, you can play the ignorance card, and it'll make your decision that much easier. Well, Lord, I didn't know, and so I'm gonna go ahead and take the chip because I didn't know, Lord. I didn't know it. Now, if the Lord knew, if I had time, if I knew, then I maybe would have prayed. But I got a family. I just went through all this work, got this promotion. I just finished school. The Lord knows my sacrifice. He knows that I sacrificed so much to get here. I just didn't know. The Lord knows all of you backsliding, revolting Israelites in your spirit. That's why he's covering it all right now. So when that day comes, ain't gonna be no I didn't know or I was uncertain. It's a life or death situation. And the answer, that's why at Great Millstone we make it clear. No, get it in your left hand. That's them guys. Well, what if I get it in my left hand? I'm still keeping the commandments. Yes, they said that. Okay. Well, what if I get it in my butt cheek? Or what if you take it in and you pull it out? What was that? HOI that said that? What do we say? What was our answer? Thou shalt not tempt the Lord. No. Okay. The Lord's going to get you. He's going to get you for trying to play games. All right. This is a lot. I'll read that. This is just proof that and another thing. Well, I was listening to them. So the Lord can't get mad at me if I'm listening to them. If they taught me wrong. Well, he's telling you right now. He's giving you the warning now. Okay. And this is just proof that not only the false prophets, but those who listen to those false prophets, not taking heed to the warning because you're afraid. You don't want to build up your faith. You don't want to even possibly imagine the situation that you get put in, because you don't want to concern about how you're going to eat, what you're going to do. You don't want to put your faith in the Lord. You would prefer it to be spiritual. So when the time comes, because it's going to come, then it'll just be a weight off your shoulders to know in your mind, okay, I'm not sinning if I take it. So I can keep doing what I have to do to save my life. So I can keep working, right? Because I don't want to be punished. Proof that people who listen are also included in the destruction. As Jeremiah 14:13 says, then said I, Lord Yahweh, behold, the prophets say unto them, ye shall not see the sword, neither shall ye have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. Those are your prophets who's telling you that the mark of the beast is spiritual. All of them are saying that's what they're saying, because they're warning you not to look for any type of upcoming persecution. Or, that's what they're warning you. Your guard is laid down. I mean, you have no guard. Your guard is, you have your guard down because you're sitting around waiting for them to push the image of white Jesus again. And then you say, oh, it's that time. So you're not looking at these things. You're not looking at what we're seeing, what we're observing, these laws being passed, all these people who's coming out of nowhere saying these so-called anti-Sim statements. We know what's happening. They're trying to set up the laws to pass to persecute those who speak the truth. You're not looking for that because you're listening to these Israelites who teaching you a false doctrine. And we know why. Okay, the scripture says you will heap unto your house selves teachers having itching ears. You go into that word itching ear. It means pleasant to hear. You wanna go to the prophets that just tell you, assured peace, and it just goes smooth down in your belly. Just flows smooth, like, yeah, the mark of the beast is sin. So I ain't got to ever worry about being in the straits in the hour of temptation, because all I got to do is keep the commandments, and I ain't got to look for nothing. Verse 14, then the Lord Yahweh said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. They're telling you what's more comfortable for them. And a lot of them is because they sold out. They got that 501c3. Why don't they speak against the chip? Why don't they speak and say, we condemn that chip? If the white man came with that chip, we condemn it. We'll say, hell no. That's because they can't be on record speaking against it. They took it, that 501c3 is a bribe, is a muzzle. And there's one thing they have in common. Neither one of them uses the name. They use Jesus Christ. It's a bribe. Okay. And I'm telling you, just like what all sellouts do when they get caught, they're going to try to justify by saying, I did this to help black people. Look at all the great things we was able to do. And all I had to do was take away the name and force y'all to get legally married. In their mind, that's a worthy compromise to fill their own belly. And you're all going to be sitting there looking stupid. And it's all on you. Right? It says, I have sent them not, neither I commanded them. Okay, verse 15. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh concerning the prophets that prophesy lies in my name, and I sent them not, yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed, and the people whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. Why is that? Because they're listening to it. So the prophets, false prophets, as well as those who heap themselves unto the false prophets, you are all going to be caught up in the same judgment. Okay, so you ain't gonna be able to get off the hook. Well, it ain't my fault. I was following the false shepherd. Well, you should have took heed to the warning, prayed to the Lord for the spirit and understanding to separate yourself from that. And since you chose not to, now you're in straits. All right? So with that, shalom.